Hey, what's going on, guys? So today I want to talk a little bit about precious metals. The market is going a little nuts. It really has to do with the stock market going a little nuts. And I'm not going to get into great detail, but if you're not following the stock market or even just social media because it's become quite popular, apparently there was a Reddit group that was basically challenging Wall Street. All right, and they're playing around with GameStop and some other some stocks. In fact, I got in on some AMC stocks because it seems like that's the next branding that's going to go up. But you can do your own research on that whole thing. It's kind of upsetting the market right now, and it's got the attention of government, and government might make some different laws to prevent that in the future. Who knows? It has to do with short selling stocks, basically. You know, billionaires and all the rich people of the world, when they see a business that's failing, they buy these stocks and they, resell them when the business fails, when it's super, super low, and they obviously profit from the difference. And the short selling game has been around forever. And what people are doing is average people like me and you, they're buying the heck out of these stocks. So it started with GameStop. And GameStop obviously is a company that we know is failing. Not a lot of people use them, and they're just going downhill. And obviously, since the pandemic hit, it's just even worse. You would think that maybe more people are gaming and buying stuff, but they just don't buy their stuff from GameStop, and they don't sell stuff to GameStop. It's just not great. So, it's a store of yesteryear, and it's just going downhill. So what happened was a bunch of people noticed the short selling that was going to happen, and they started buying it, and it went through the roof, like ridiculously crazy increases, people making a ton of money, but they're regular people like me and you. And what's happening is all the rich people are losing millions, and it's really kind of flipping everything upside down. And it's a really big deal. Again, if you want to know more about this, I recommend you research it, watch some videos, read about it, read some articles about it to really understand in depth what's happening, because it's fascinating. Even if you're not, into the stock market or whatever, it's a really interesting thing that's happening right now. And we're going to see, if they change the laws to not allow this in the future. There was a big deal with the Robinhood app, how they stopped allowing people to buy new stock in some of these companies, and then I think there's a class action lawsuit against them. So then they, said, okay, fine, you can buy it, in limited quantities and so forth. So it's just the whole system is being challenged. We're definitely living through some really interesting times in history. I mean, this is historical. All kinds of stuff are going down. And that brings me to the subject of silver. So this is the latest silver that I got. I got this in a trade, I think like maybe, 3-4 weeks ago, something like that. But you haven't seen it before. These are just two simple little Johnson Matthey bars, little 1 ounce bars in plastic. But I wanted to use these obviously as a visual aid for the discussion on silver and gold and precious metals. So right now, as of today, the filming the video, silver is I think in the mid 1750, something around there. Gold is in the mid to high 1800s. And the last time I talked about silver and gold and precious metals, I was saying that I had sold my 100 ounce bar of silver, and that was to pay off taxes. It was a go-to because I had nothing at the time. To make sure I pay my taxes, and I don't like accumulating interest. I don't like owing people money, especially Uncle Sam, because they get theirs at the end of the day. They make sure they get theirs, right? And I don't want to fall too far behind, so it's harder to crawl out of that hole. So I am a good tax-paying citizen, and I absolutely hate it because I see constant waste of tax dollars, and now more than ever, and that's for a whole separate video. But I want to do the right thing. I've always done the right thing, so I pay my taxes, all right? And I'm very happy with my sale of my bar. I did make $1,000 from what I purchased it at, $1,500, and I sold it for $2,500. And I paid my taxes, as I was planning to do. And when I was making that video, I was talking about how I'd like to get in some gold, and I want to wait until gold gets back down around, $1,300, $1,500 an ounce, something like that. And I was talking about silver, that I usually only buy silver when it's under like $18 an ounce. I'd prefer to buy silver around 15. But here's the thing. Things have changed a little bit. I have a different position on gold and silver. Now, I don't have money to buy gold and silver right now. I'm just paying bills and stuff. Obviously, I have the new car, so I have a car payment. But when I do have the opportunity to purchase gold or silver, I will certainly purchase it at higher prices than I originally wanted to, because I do feel like the market is going to stay high for a long time. I don't know how long, but I feel like it's years now. I think that if you could buy silver for under $20 an ounce, even if it's $19.99, I would certainly do so. That's my new position for silver. I would buy silver at any price under 20 bucks, including $20 an ounce. All right, if it gets down to like, 21, 22, some people would want to buy it or whatever, but that's kind of my point, is 20 or less. I've upped it from 18. All right, ideally I'd feel good about $15 an ounce, but I don't think we're going to see $15 silver anytime soon for years to come. Now, when it comes to gold, it's funny because I had a couple people, basically they commented to say, you're not going to see gold at $1,300 an ounce ever again. It's never going to happen. Now, I still wouldn't say never, but I do have to side with their assessment, and I do agree with them now. I don't think we're going to see gold under $1,500 an ounce for years to come, and maybe not even below 18. It seems to kind of hover around 18 something, and then it goes up a little, comes down a little, but with the market just being as crazy as it is, the US dollar, what its value is obviously directly relates to the precious metals market. There's a lot of factors there, but just the whole economy, the United States and the world, but specifically the focus I think is on the US right now. There's some crazy stuff happening. So not that I am a precious metals guru or even know anything about it. I mean, obviously I know what I know. I would not consider myself a metals guide, but if you do value my opinion, I would say get as much gold and as much silver as you possibly can afford to comfortably. Now, what I mean by that is that all your bills are paid and you have money sitting in a bank, and you just got that cool new knife and you still have money sitting in a bank, go ahead, buy gold, buy silver. If you get stimulus checks and stuff, that you're supposed to stimulate the economy. Now, if you have a bunch of rent that's owed, obviously you should be paying your rent, your cable bill, your electric bill, things like that. But if all that stuff's good to go and you get that big fat government check, which I don't agree with to begin with, but that's a whole nother thing. We just can't afford stimuluses. We couldn't afford the first one. We can't afford the second one that's happened, which I haven't gotten anything, by the way. And the third one that's being talked about, we certainly can't afford that either. We're getting into funny numbers with our U.S. debt. But hey, you know what? I don't make the rules. So if they're sending it to you, I would hedge against the future, and I would certainly purchase some gold and silver. Something worth considering. And don't just take my advice. Basically what I'm saying is, I'm telling you, yeah, buy gold and silver at whatever price you can get it at. However, do your research. Spend hours and hours reading things, watching videos. There's whole channels on YouTube dedicated to precious metals, about the history, where it's going, where it could be going, because no one really knows. But there's definitely trends, and there's things you can go by in history. And we try to study history and learn about it so we can somewhat predict the future, maybe. As far as metals are concerned, some people are pretty accurate in their predictions. They don't know exactly how much it'll go up, but people generally understand, okay, in this situation, gold and silver goes up. In this situation, it goes down, It is definitely a long-term investment. If you end up buying silver at $26 or $27 an ounce, even $25 an ounce, there's no telling what'll happen. Maybe next year it drops down to $10 an ounce. I don't think so, but you never really know. So understand, it is a gamble. You're still at a casino pulling the slot machine. Do you know what I'm saying? So anyway, my overall point here is buy gold and silver at whatever price you can, whatever you can afford to do so. And that my personal numbers have definitely gone up. I do not see metals going down too much. Of course, it's always going to flip-flop back and forth, but I don't predict any kind of major drops in the very near future. And when I say near future, I just mean at least the rest of this year, the rest of 2021, and probably throughout the next 4 or 5 years. I don't see it happening. There's just such crazy stuff in the world, and I don't really see things getting better overall. Not in the short term. In the long term, I hope to God that things get better, but I don't see it. There's some wacky times going on right now, and there's a lot of people getting into gold and silver, just the average Joes, and they're buying it up. And the more they're buying, the less there is, and the less there is, the more expensive it's going to be. All right, and of course the stock market. The stock market is being turned into a trendy thing to do. You have average people that have never invested in the stock market, and they're downloading these apps like Robinhood and TD Ameritrade and Webull and all these other ones, and they're jumping in on the stock market. They're not spending thousands and millions of dollars like rich people do, but they're throwing $50 at it, $100 here and there. Some people are spending their stimulus checks on it. Some people are just, you know, something like Robinhood, you could do fractional investing. So like you don't have to buy, let's say you want a stock that's $1,000 a share. You don't have to spend $1,000. You could put $5 and have a fraction of a share, which is pretty interesting. It's an interesting concept, so you can get in on investing in much, much larger companies and bigger stocks. But yeah, it's just becoming trendy. Just the average person is starting to do stuff like this, and it's upsetting the system. You know, especially this Reddit group that is that's playing around with these Wall Street gurus, and they're upset. They're losing big money, and things are getting wacky. You know, like I said, the government's getting involved. They might change laws and stuff, but we'll see. It's pretty interesting. I'd recommend, again, if you have no interest or know nothing about the stock market or precious metals, you know, if you have some free time, just look into it. You don't even have to spend a penny, but I'm very much encouraging you to get involved and see what's going on in the country and around the world. Because even if you don't want to invest, it's just good to be knowledgeable, and it's good to understand what's going on. And you know, you're going to start seeing, like I already see memes. I see stock market memes, which I've never seen before. One of them said like, oh, you know, quitting my job because I invested $5 in GameStop, which I thought was funny. So anyway, that is it for now. Just wanted to touch upon financial stuff a little bit because I find the whole thing very interesting. It's a separate hobby. I occasionally do these silver videos. I've done maybe one video just mentioning I'm in the stock market now. It's really fun. It's really, really fun as a hobby. But I have very little money invested. I don't have a bunch of, you know, skin in the game, so to speak. You know, so if I lost everything, it'd be very upsetting. You know, but it's not like life-changing, you know what I'm saying? So just be careful. Don't get caught up in the stuff and throw everything you have at this stuff because it's so volatile. You just don't know what's going to happen. I mean, the stock market specifically is a total gamble, at least with silver and gold. That has value. It has value all around the entire world and always will. People always talk about, like, you know, the apocalypse. What are you going to do with all that silver in the apocalypse? You can't eat it. Let me tell you something. People are greedy, okay? And I'm very much banking on the fact that even when their kids are starving, people will still want gold and silver because there's a human greed and it just does not go away. Even in an emergency, people will always want this stuff everywhere across the entire planet. So that's pretty much it for now, guys. Let me know down in the comments section a couple things. Number one, do you invest in gold and silver or precious metals? And have you gotten into the stock market since the pandemic hit? If you saw my previous video, I got in very early and just got a lot of stocks that just totally plummeted because of the pandemic. Some energy stocks and some travel, stuff, and they're all doing very well. They all bounced back very nicely, and I hope they continue to go on the rise, especially as society gets a little back to normal, which we don't know when that's going to happen, unfortunately, but hopefully sooner than later. But I am curious, are you guys jumping in on the stock market bandwagon? Are you jumping in on the silver bandwagon? Have you never had any interest in either, and now all of a sudden you have a stock portfolio and a bag of silver or gold? Just kind of curious. So anyway, that's it for now. Hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I will see you tomorrow with a brand new video. Take care.